Welcome. You know that feeling, right? When you have this brilliant idea, but you just can't find the perfect word to get it across. Well, that's exactly what we're tackling today. Because having the right word isn't just about sounding smart, it's a game changer for clear, effective communication. We're about to add 20 really powerful new tools to your collection. We've all been there. That word is right on the tip of your tongue, but you just can't seem to grab it. And that's exactly why we're here. We are going to give you the right words for the right situations, which is going to make your ideas, your arguments, everything just sharper and more impactful than ever before. So here's how we're going to build our toolkit today. First, we'll get some words for making plans and shaping ideas. Then we'll add a few tools for navigating the kind of tricky world of conflict. After that, we'll find words to talk about big changes in scale, and we'll wrap it all up with some precise language for health and well-being. Sound good? Let's get started. Okay, first up, structure and strategy. How do you take that little spark of an idea and actually turn it into a solid plan you can act on? Well, these next words are going to help you do just that. Okay, so first we've got unify. This is all about bringing separate things together to make one solid whole. Think of a team leader trying to unify a group with different skills so they all work towards the same goal. The end result is a unified effort. Now, on the flip side, you have scheme. A scheme is a plan too, but it usually feels a bit clever and secretive. Now, you can have a color scheme for your living room, but more often it implies something sneaky, like a villain in a movie who schemes to take over the world. See the difference? One's about unity, the other's often about secrets. Let's be honest, no plan is perfect right out of the gate. And that's where the word consult comes in. It just means to seek out expert advice. So before you launch a new business, you might consult with a financial advisor. And during that consultation, what you're really looking for is any potential drawback, a hidden problem or a weakness in your plan. Maybe the biggest drawback is that it's just too expensive. Finding those drawbacks early, well, that's absolutely crucial. All right, let's add some tools for, let's say, more complicated situations. This next set of words is going to help us describe things like disagreement, dishonesty, and betrayal with a lot more precision. Now, this is really interesting. It shows how just one little letter can change everything. So, fiction, with a C, is something that's made up, a story, a novel. But swap that C for an R, and you get friction. And that's that feeling of tension or conflict between people. You might say, after the argument, there was a lot of friction in the room. A tiny change in spelling, but a massive change in meaning. Okay, let's look at 3 words here that kind of describe dishonesty on a sliding scale. It might start with someone trying to sneak around, moving quietly and secretly. A person who does this a lot is sneaky. Now, if that behavior gets worse, they might become devious. That's when they're actively using dishonest tricks to get what they want. And the ultimate goal of a devious person, well, it's often to undermine someone else, to secretly weaken their power or their reputation bit by bit. Now, on a much more serious note, we have betrayal. This is the act of breaking someone's trust. The person who does it is a betrayer. But a more extreme and much more formal version of this is treason, which is the actual crime of betraying your own country. And the person who commits treason is called a traitor. So you see, one is a deep personal wound, while the other is a serious crime against a nation. All right, let's shift gears. Our world is always, always changing. So this next part of our toolkit is all about the language we use for transformation, how things change, how they move, and how they grow in size or intensity. Change comes in all sorts of flavors. We have mutate, which is a biological term. It's when something like a virus fundamentally changes its form. That change is called a mutation. Then you have migrate, which is all about geography. Birds migrate south for the winter, or people migrate to a new country. And we can even talk about change across history with terms like the Middle Ages, which was a whole period of massive societal transformation. So how do we talk about the degree of that change? Well, we can use the word intensify. It just means to become stronger or more extreme. For instance, as the storm got closer, the wind began to intensify. Now, sometimes things go past a certain limit. That's when they exceed it. An athlete might exceed all expectations. Her performance was beyond what anyone thought was possible. And for our final set of tools, let's focus on the body. These words help us talk clearly about our physical well-being, everything from getting hurt and our body's reactions, all the way to recovery and nutrition. Let's start with what can go wrong and how our body responds. To injure yourself is to cause physical harm. The result is an injury, like a broken bone. But our bodies have these amazing built-in protection systems. A reflex is one of them. It's that automatic, instant reaction your body has, like when you pull your hand away from a hot stove before you even realize what's happening. It's incredible, really. This one is simple, but oh so important. To be hydrated means your body has plenty of water to work properly. The opposite, of course, is dehydrated, when you haven't had enough. The little prefixes are the key here. High is related to water, while de basically means to remove. So staying hydrated is just essential for your health. You know, when we talk about healthy eating, so much of it comes down to our senses. Flavor is that specific, complex taste of a food. Is it sweet? Is it savory? And we're always looking for food that is perfectly ripe, which just means it's ready to be eaten, it's at its peak. A perfectly ripe mango has the best flavor and the most nutrients. And this slide brilliantly illustrates the subtle differences in language when we talk about getting better. A cure is like the ultimate goal. It gets rid of a disease completely. Therapy is more of a long-term treatment process to manage something. A remedy is something that just helps with the symptoms, like a home remedy for a sore throat. And healing is that amazing natural process of the body recovering all on its own. And just like that, your vocabulary toolkit is officially stocked. In just these last few minutes, you have added 20 precise, powerful new words to your communication arsenal. Pretty cool, right? So let's just quickly recap. We've covered the language of plans, the nuances of conflict, the dynamics of change, and the specifics of health. The important thing is that you now have a specialized tool for each of these jobs. You can build a plan, you can pinpoint a drawback, you can describe friction, and you can discuss the path to healing, all with way more clarity and impact. Of course, the real power of these words comes from actually using them. So, the final question is all yours. Which one of these new tools are you most excited to put into practice? Think about it and start listening for chances to use your new, sharper vocabulary, maybe even today.